Da.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Good morning. Alex, is that Alex? That's Alex Burza there, I think. Hi, Alex.
Is this happening now?
Yeah, beginning now. It's Holiness is preparation.
생겨라. 세마소. 더 세고 있나? 그게 되고. 통도 전에 생겼다. 어떤 데서? 터문 전에 생겼다. 전화처럼 지스.
So Professor Thurman requested for the Simanada Jenang, the permission initiation. So His Holiness wanted to display the tanka of Simanada for everyone. Look at the display on your monitors or screen.
오마리 상하나다 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 라라 dedication to mundo
join in, but he's got a lot of chairs in the hall. We cannot allow that. It has to be only you. Okay, so when you are there from me, can you call me so I let you in? Okay. Okay.
초보죠, 그럼. 초보. 어? 또 먼저 열어봐. 뭐지 말아 봐. 뒤로. 전화 루두르. 계신시 또마 처음부터 제가 당 딘집체. 是吧? 응? 다 드셔보죠. 야, 다 가서는 진짜 아니, 내 투시심을 한다. 정주당배인데 가서는 진짜 그 뭔 사실 좋아. 괜찮아. 자동 홀리게 되고 전도 빼봐서 상해. 강화건도 돼.
So please recite Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. He's always just recited the praise to Avalokiteshvara, which says, your 1,000 hands represent the 1,000 universal monarchs. Your 1,000 eyes represent the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. And you teach different beings according to the what is suitable to them. And therefore, I bow to you, Venerable Avalokiteshvara. Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum. Please keep on reciting the mantra, six-syllable mantra of Avalokiteshvara.
버렸어. 나 그래. 부모자고 말해. 다시 사서. 부모자고. 그래서 아미다 은사고 정수를 주시오. no. 많이 배면 안 배면 되죠. 뭐? 거기서 살았어, 어디가? 그거는 당시 다지 이게 저도 보지사체 저도 누구야? 가. 어? 밑에 그래. 죄송하다. 응? 야야. 가. 야, 장승두개.
So, do you hear me, everyone? Yesterday, I did the preliminary process of the Great Compassionate Avalokiteshvara, 1,000 armed and 1,000 eyed initiation. And so, as I mentioned yesterday, Generosik or Avalokiteshvara is a deity of compassion. So, if you do practice and meditation and recitation of Avalokiteshvara mantras and prayers, then you'll be. It helps to for you to think of all sentient beings in this life and the lives and all other lives to come. Otherwise, when sometimes, and so the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum cannot cause you to work for some kind of overcoming others or subduing others and so forth. So, Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, Syllable mantra of Avalokiteshvara is a blessed mantra. It's full of blessings. So, Avalokiteshvara also is the deity, the chosen deity of Tibet. Otherwise, when you do other mantras of other deities, sometimes you could have other intentions. So while I do the initiation, we could also do some meditation. Usually, when I come to the point of doing what is known as the all-encompassing yoga mantra, all-encompassing yoga mind, we will do some meditation while I give you the introduction, and so we'll do meditation on Bodhichitta, the spirit of awakening, and the view of emptiness. Okay, keep this in mind, please. So as I did the self-initiation earlier, you should imagine me and the deity in the mandala to be inseparable. Please make the mandala offerings to request. Lama Yidam Gunchosum Labe, Tojo Wangi Shen Dala Chinga Lab dos Dingata Yesho Java Chawa, some is Children Zajin Shukuchi. May the sound of the great Dharma drum dispel the suffering of beings. May you live long to turn the wheel of Dharma to give us teaching. As I said, just said, so the Generosik Avalokiteshvara is the main deity of the mandala and inseparable from the master. Please repeat this. Oh great, please, you are my teacher. So, Master, please pay attention to me, the firm way of great enlightenment. I beg you, O great protector, please grant me the pledges in spirit of the spirit of enlightenment, the Buddha and Dharma and Sangha. O protector, please lead me to the supreme city of liberation. O protector, please lead me to the supreme city of liberation. O protector, please lead me to the supreme city of liberation. So for the time being, you are not allowed to see the secrecy of mandala, and so as the name, secret mantra Vajra vehicle. So, of course, Tantra was not taught in a great in public as such, but secretly. The first turning of the wheel of Dharma was given rather in public, and then the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, when the Buddha taught emptiness in the Perfection Wisdom Sutras, he taught this to those to whom the teaching of emptiness does not feel uncomfortable. And so it was the Panchaparamita teachings, the Perfection Wisdom teachings, were not given in public as such. And therefore, there is question whether these teachings of the Perfection Wisdom were actually taught by the Buddha or not. So here, this regarding Tantra, secret refers to the fact that this set of teachings is something that the sharp, intelligent ones could actually think about. So, of course, when you say, I am a deity, without going through the process of transformation of meditation through the meditation on emptiness, and just think that, with this perception of this body, this gross body of flesh, bone, and blood, that's a distorted perception. And so, regarding the Tantra, it is a practice that is something done by beings with sharp intelligence. And mantra refers to protection of mind from ordinary perception and ordinary clinging. So Tantra has to be practiced in secrecy. So in India in the past, the general teaching of the Buddha was done in monastic institutions, but Tantra was given to a few disciples secretly by qualified teachers, and it wasn't given in large gatherings as such, and therefore Tantra is said to be practiced secretly. So therefore here, for the time being, since you are not allowed to see the mandala, secrets of the mandala, you are given this blindfold. And then, when you remove the blindfold, you make an offering of a flower garland. And so this is given to you in order to offer it to the mandala deities when you are able to see them. And do this Lotus lineage gesture. First, bring the two palms together, fold the hands, and then open the upper parts. So this is called the Lotus lineage mudra. So this is the Lotus lineage gesture. Hold this at your heart. Please repeat this mantra, Om Pema Upavaya Swaha. So imagine you are given this garland of flowers. As I explained yesterday too, the disciples first think of I, Of course, even the Buddha has the sense of I, and also those of the Arya Bodhisattvas. But for us, ordinary beings, when we think of I, though you may have the same sense of I, but for those who have the experience of emptiness through the meditative power, what the Bodhisattvas actually see is that I, when they think of an I, because of their realization of emptiness through meditative process, they can actually perceive this I to be merely designated. But for those who have no realization of emptiness, and what happens is when you think of an I, this I appears, and we also hold on to be something solid. So if that were the actual case of the I being in that way, it has to become clearer and clearer as you search for that, but that doesn't happen. So what you actually come across is you don't find yourself when you do this kind of analysis, scrutinize yourself where the I is or who this is. And so there's nothing that you can pinpoint this I at. You cannot point your finger at this or that. But what you should think is, this I does not exist that the way it appears to me, as Changyur Rinpoche Dorji says. So the I does appear to have some kind of solidity, solid existence in and of itself. But this is not how the I exists. So this actually, for us, the I exists, or the things, when we look at things, they appear as if there is some kind of a core identity to them, that if we can even kind of there's even tangible, and we can grasp at it. But that's not the case. So in other words, meditate on emptiness, bringing up this understanding that the things do not exist the way they appear to me, including yourself. And then from within that state of emptiness, you imagine yourself transforming into Avalokiteshvara. With an Avalokiteshvara, and the three letters Om, Ah, Hum marks your body, speech, and mind. And next is taking the Bodhisattva vows, as I also already explained yesterday. Imagine Avalokiteshvara, 1,000 eyed, 1,000 hands, together with his retinue, 4 retinues, and imagine Avalokiteshvara to be the embodiment of all objects of refuge. And then in the space before Avalokiteshvara, you imagine Buddha, the close Bodhisattva disciples like Manjushri, Maitreya, and so forth. And then the masters like Nagarjuna, and so forth. In other words, 17 Nalanda masters. So in other words, imagine all the objects of refuge before you. We talk about the 16 elders, the 16 arahats, who were actually told by the Buddha to keep the teaching of the Buddha. So you can imagine them and also the great masters of India and Tibet, those who have gained realizations, those who are on the path and enlightened. So they become enlightened for the Buddhas, of course, have reached enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. And then the Bodhisattva, Arya Bodhisattvas, who are still on the path to enlightenment, all of them, for the sake of us sentient beings, have generated bodhicitta and engaged in the path and the practices of the bodhisattvas for the benefit, solely for the benefit of us. So their intention to become enlightened and do their practices of bodhisattvas and so forth is solely for the benefit of us. So think that you have attained a human life now, which is endowed with the 8 leisures and 10 opportunities, and you have met with the Dharma. As Tsongkhapa also says, at the end of the that he pays homage or respect to the Buddha, being a monk, a yogi, and having become a monk in the Buddha's tradition and so forth. So all the Buddhists, of course, consider Buddha to be an object of refuge, considering the Buddha to be our teacher. So, of course, non-Buddhists would not have to take refuge in the Buddha and so forth, but you may just imagine or think of your own higher powers like God and so forth. So for Christians, you have the Creator God, and Islam or the non-Buddhist traditions, all of them have the same message of cultivating love, compassion, and patience. So, whatever precepts you have, all these different practices you have, according to your tradition, here you should have the intention and aspiration to serve all sentient beings. So for the Buddhists, we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And in this ritual for Bodhisattva vows, you say, I seek refuge in the 3 jewels. I confess all my negativities. Individually, I rejoice in the virtue of beings, and I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment. In other words, what this last line is saying is that you will have the motivation to reach Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. And therefore, what you need is, in order to be able to serve others, you need to have a form body at the physical dimension of a Buddha. And in order for that to be achieved, to achieve that, you need to have the Dharmakaya. So with these two, the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, you can serve others. The Dharmakaya is said to be for the one's own sake, and the Rupakaya for the sake of others. And as Kundalama Rinpoche, the Tenzin Gyaltsen, has said, if you wish to achieve your own goals, you must practice Bodhisattva, Bodhichitta. If you wish to serve others, fulfill the goals of others, you need to cultivate Bodhichitta and to To purify negativities also, you need to cultivate Bodhichitta. So, in other words, all kinds of fulfillments that you seek, whether temporary or the ultimate, comes from Bodhichitta. And therefore you say, I seek refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I am enlightened. In order to fulfill the interests of myself and others, I generate the mind for awakening. By having generated the mind of supreme enlightenment, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. So what would you do by inviting them as your guests? You need to actually serve them, help, do something that is beneficial to them. And therefore, what you need to do is engage in the supremely appealing conduct of enlightenment. So these Bodhisattva practices are those which is beneficial solely beneficial to everyone, yourself and others. So not just generating bodhicitta, but also actually engaging in the bodhisattva practices. In order to do that, you think of reaching enlightenment. So, therefore, you say, for the benefit of all beings, may I attain Buddhahood. So please think like that and repeat these lines. In front of you in the space, imagine all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Avalokiteshvara mandala with the 5 deities inside, with the principal deity in the center. Please repeat, I seek refuge in the 3 jewels. I confess all my negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment. I seek refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Supreme Assembly until I am enlightened. In order to fulfill the interests of myself and others, I generate the mind of awakening. By generating the mind of supreme awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I engage in the supremely appealing contact of enlightenment. For the benefit of all beings, may I attain Buddhahood. Please repeat it for the 2nd time. I seek refuge in the 3 jewels. I confess all my sins individuals. I rejoice in the virtue of beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment. I seek refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Supreme community until I am enlightened. In order to fulfill the interests of myself and others, I generate the mind of awakening. By generating the mind of full supreme awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the supremely appealing conduct of enlightenment. For the benefit of all beings, may I attain Buddhahood. So please repeat for the 3rd time. Having generated the first aspiring bodhicitta, then the bodhisattva practices and engage in them the 6 perfections to ripen one's own self spiritually and to ripen others. There's 4 factors of gathering disciples. So far, we have been like slaves, enslaved by our faults, the faulty destructive emotions, the grasping at true existence, and also self-cherishing attitude. The arhats of the Shravakas and so forth, the Shravakas have, of course, reached that of nirvana, but they are in partial nirvana. Not having completely overcome this obscuration to knowledge, and they are still bound by the selfish attitude. And so let us not be carried away by selfish motive, but make this pledge to serve all sentient beings. And so with this, you are taking the Bodhisattva vows. not just generating bodhicitta, but also engaging, determining to engage in the bodhisattva practices. So not just making aspiration that may I become enlightened, but that I will become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. And so, please repeat these after His Holiness. I'll not say in English.
Oh yeah. On the other side, you looked at Sasum, Ranshan Ten, Rubdushir, Chanjusan, Ranshan Ten, Rubdushir,
Fulfill the interest of myself and others. I generate the mind of awakening 3 times.
Simjan Tamja Dag and Run the Mir, Chanju Jesho, Yong, Jeverki, Drollapench, Sanjan Drover Shaw. Yeah.
So on a daily basis, I do self-generation, and so in connection with the tantric rituals of self-initiation, I take Bodhisattva vows and also tantric vows, especially when I'm doing the deity yoga practice. I imagine, for example, when I do this ritual for longevity, practice for longevity, I imagine Aryatara. The main practice of cruise is to generate bodhicitta. And then with the Aryatara, in visualizing her in front, I do generate bodhicitta and also make pledge to engage in the bodhisattva practices. So I do this daily. When I do the in connection with, of course, the mandala rituals, this comes automatically. But when I do my daily practice, I repeat that in order to fulfill the interests of myself and others, I generate the mind for awakening. And so I think also of the bodhisattva practices. I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests and so forth. And so when you do these on a daily basis, because of your familiarization, not just occasionally, in connection with, for example, when you do like deity yoga practice, or when you generate some virtuous state of mind, thinking of serving sentient beings and generating bodhicitta, and that you will engage in the bodhisattva practices and so forth. If you do this on a daily basis, day by day, month by month, year by year, then it will you gain familiarity with it more and more. And so you have taken the bodhisattva vow yesterday also, and so you have received it. So here at the end, when you say, for the benefit of all sentient beings, may I attain Buddhahood, imagine that you have received a complete set of, the full set of bodhisattva vows, just as they are in the Lama. So even if you have caused decline to it, and the downfalls and so forth, imagine that they are now recovered, and whatever negativities you may have accrued going against the bodhisattva practices and bodhicitta, they are all cleansed, and then your bodhisattva vow is recovered. And those that have not been caused, you have not caused to decline, they are enhanced further. So, with regards to the minds, so for the conventional bodhicitta, think of becoming a Buddha, think of achieving Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings, and then for the ultimate bodhicitta, you have to think of or reflect on emptiness, so meditation on emptiness. So all of you, as I said, already explained, as Bodhisattva Charya Avatara says, all suffering in the world comes from selfishness. All happiness in the world comes from wishing others to have happiness. What need is there to say more? Look at the difference between the Buddhas and the childish sentient beings. And then the text says that if you do not exchange your joy and happiness with the suffering of others, live alone, but reaching Buddhahood, even in samsara, you will not have happiness. So actually, in the world, we are more or less engaged or carried out by our selfish motives. So, not to talk about bodhicitta, to reach Buddhahood for the sake of other sentient beings, but even in this life, when you are selfish, you cause all kinds of problem. So when you think of bodhicitta and have the experience, you feel calm and rested. And therefore, bodhicitta helps to purify your negativities and accumulate merit and positive energies. And therefore, bodhicitta is the foundation for all joy and happiness, temporary as well as ultimate. And therefore, aspiring bodhicitta, let us meditate on bodhicitta first for a minute. As I already quoted Shantideva, therefore, which intelligent person would despair to ride the horse of bodhicitta, which leads one from bliss to bliss? And so, as I quoted earlier, all suffering comes from wishing happiness for oneself, all happiness from wishing others. So, of course, if you don't care about whether you want happiness or do not want suffering, that doesn't matter. But if you actually care about overcoming suffering and wishing to have happiness, you need to meditate and cultivate bodhicitta, thinking of the benefits, the advantages of cherishing others over yourself and the disadvantage of self-cherishing attitude. And so, for 1 minute, let us all meditate on bodhicitta. So, from the depths of your heart, feel that this bodhicitta, which holds others, cherishes others more than oneself alone, is something incredible, because all the Buddhas have become enlightened on the basis of, through the practice of bodhicitta, on the basis of this altruistic spirit of enlightenment. And Nagarjuna's Ratnavali and Chandrakirti's Madhyamaka Avatara talks about the benefit of bodhicitta a lot. So who else would practice this if not us? So Buddha, we put on the robes, Buddhist monks' robes. And so our main responsibility or job is to cultivate bodhicitta, develop bodhicitta within ourselves. And so bodhicitta has two aspirations. The one is that of wanting to become enlightened, and the other is aspiring to help other sentient beings. So as I explained yesterday, with wisdom, the Bodhisattvas focus on enlightenment, and with the compassion, they focus on sentient beings. And so, now, having meditated on Bodhichitta, imagine that this Bodhichitta, this altruistic spirit of enlightenment, transforms at your heart into this conventional Bodhichitta, transforms into a moon disk at your heart. And next is a meditation on the ultimate Bodhichitta. So what this means is, in reality, of course, there is two truths taught in the scriptures, but even if you look at the things around you, there is a level of appearance, but not staying there. But if you delve into its nature, the deeper, you'll see things don't exist the way they appear as well. Even quantum physics talks about so what they explain is similar to how we describe things, that things, there is a mere appearance, like the Chittamatras say. So the form and so forth, form, sound and so forth, if you actually scrutinize them, you will not be able to actually find anything within that object as being sound, form and so forth. And so they say there's nothing objectively existing. So in India, people have done analysis into how things existed, and therefore Chittamatras say things have no external existence, and the Madhyamakas, particularly those who do not accept any objective existence of things, even conventionally, say that things are merely designated, and that there's nothing whatever that you can actually pinpoint as being the core or identity of this and that. And so the teaching of the Buddha, which has been explicated clearly by Nagarjuna, Master Nagarjuna, using logic, so proving things logically, except few cases where he resorts to scriptural quotations, makes the teaching of the Buddha very clear. And there are many reasons to prove that things have no independent self, such as the diamond splinter and reasoning and so forth. But the king of all reasonings is the reasoning of dependent origination. As Master Nagarjuna says, what is said to be dependent, what arises through dependence is empty, and that is said to be designated, and that is the middle way. And Buddhapalita says that if things were to have any essential nature in and of itself, what need is there for dependence? A dependent designation. So if you look at things around us and think of yourself, for example, on the basis of different factors, I or the person is designated, and therefore you cannot actually have the I or a person without being designated. And therefore, that's what Buddhapalita, in his Buddhapalita commentary, says. If there is an essential core, what need is there for designation, dependent designation? And the 400 verses also says that what is dependently arisen has no autonomy. And all these things have no independence. So what this is saying is that if things were dependently originated, there's no independent existence. But because things are all dependently designated, you'll find that what is independent and what is dependent are mutually exclusive. So things, however much you think about different things, the phenomena and so forth, you'll find that they exist by way of relation to others. And so quantum physics also says that things have no objective existence. For us also, if you look at the external or internal phenomena, anything, when you do analysis of them, though in the beginning, before doing that kind of analysis, you may see that you may kind of perceive that things have some kind of objective existence, but that's not the case that you find through investigation. So those who study Buddhist classics in the monastic institutions, we memorize Chandrakirti's Madhyamaka Avatara. So as recited yesterday, if things were to have any self-defined characteristics, and then and when you actually, there would be the four absurdities and so forth, and that things are merely designated by convention, and you cannot find anything apart from being designated and so forth. And then Madhyamaka Avatara also goes on to say, so the bodhisattvas and so forth journey on to that of cessation through the power of the conventions. So when you reflect on emptiness, you'll find that ignorance has no foundation at all, although it kind of grasps at some kind of a solidity, independent existence. And therefore, you can find that ignorance is something that you will be able to, there's a possibility to overcome this ignorance. So though the bodhisattvas remain in absorption on emptiness and see the possibility to the cessation, but they feel compassion towards the helpless, those sentient beings without protection. And then at the end of this 6th chapter, he says the bodhisattvas cultivate both the wings, the conventional and the ultimate wings of wisdom and the compassion, bodhicitta, and then fly across to the other shore of the ocean. So therefore, now please meditate on emptiness as much as you, depending on your understanding, whatever understanding of emptiness you have, meditate on that emptiness. Though we may say, we may have this discrimination between us and them, thinking you and me. Though this, of course, you, me, they, and me, us, them and us and so forth do exist, but they do not exist the way we perceive them to be, as if they are independently them or independently us or independently me and him or her and so forth. So the mere word ten jung, the two words, they're made up of two syllables, then dependence and jung arising. So dependence does not reject the emptiness, and arising does not deny the causality of things, because they are actually there in practical terms. So Tenjung, or dependent arising, is something incredible. And Rinpoche, Master Tsongkhapa, so the childish hold on to some kind of existence, independent or objective existence, and they reinforce their bond to samsara. But the wise, for the wise, it is the tool to cut across all objectification. So dependent arising is something that what we are thinking of, and let us all meditate on. So for us, of course, because we have all kinds of feelings, experiences, and the things that give us experiences, so they do exist, but they affect us, giving us pleasure, pain, and so forth. But when you actually delve into their nature, the way they exist, what you find is that they are merely designated, merely dependently designated. And Rinpoche says that the appearance in the three principal aspects of the path, Rinpoche says the appearance does away with the extreme of existence, and emptiness, that of the extreme of nihilism. So when you understand emptiness within the understanding of cause and effect, you will not be captivated by the extremist views. So have a strong conviction that nothing whatever has any objective existence apart from being designated. Please meditate on emptiness. So, of course, I do exist, and it has if it affects us. But when you actually look for its nature, what you find is that you do not exist independently as it appears to, and therefore this strong clinging to some kind of independent existence, this ignorance is shaken. So when you meditate on emptiness, it will actually undermine this ignorance, the fundamental ignorance, as well as this self-cherishing attitude. So I'm not just saying it because texts say that, but from my experience over the last over 50 years. So when I think about, when I reflect on the word dependent designation, that things are dependent and designated, it has some kind of a weight in my understanding. And it is something that I can accept. Of course, this helps to have a calm mind and restful mind. So whoever I meet, I always remain smiling and not have a stern face. And so that gives me pleasure, and my friends also are happy. And Dalai Lama is... Most of the photos of me, Dalai Lama, show me smiling. And so people around me also live happily. So you don't see Dalai Lama to have a very stern and kind of a serious-looking face in the photos, and nor people around me. And so this is not something that it's like acting, but this is something that happens out of the nature of the practice of Bodhichitta. And so you should also meditate on Bodhichitta. So Bob Thurman, you have quite a majestic looking face, grand looking face. So when you meditate on emptiness and bodhicitta, you remain smiling. And so this is about the all-encompassing yoga mind. So on a daily basis, so this mantra that I just recited means that I will keep this all-encompassing yoga mind. And then you also, after repeating, after that, after the initiation, you should, what you are saying is that you pledge to cultivate or meditate on these two principles. And the meditation on emptiness, the mind transforms into a vajra. Please repeat. Om Sarva Yoga Chitta Upatayami. Om Sarva Yoga Chitta Upatayami. So at the heart of the Lama, there is a vajra, the two, the vajra and the moon, symbolizing these two minds. And imagine replicas of the vajra and moon at the heart of the master comes forth and dissolves into the vajra and the moon at your heart, and thereby stabilizing these two principles within you. As Bodhisattva Charyavatara says, gods and demigods, be joyous. So, as I explained earlier, Tantra must be practiced in secrecy, in secret. And so what has been said is that you should not disclose the secrecy of Tantra to those who have not entered mandala or who do not have faith in this secret teaching. This is asking to run the fan rather stronger. So, having generated the all-encompassing yoga mind through meditation, you, of course, leave some imprint within your mind stream through meditation. So, this king of swans lead his flocks of swans with the help of the two wings of the conventional understanding of conventional wisdom and the ultimate nature of things, and flies across to the other shore of the ocean. And so, think of these two principles of bodhicitta and emptiness, and then what is taught in the scriptures becomes something practical without leaving them in words. So to those who have not entered the mandala and those who have no faith in the teaching, to them you should not disclose this teaching, this secret mantrayana. Now you are entering the mandala. Imagine you, please repeat this. Sunida, Sudoku, Susoku, Bezasadu, Adisiddhimam, Maharada. You are actually going around the deities inside the mandala. Bezasadu, Adisiddhimam 3 times. Sunida, Sudoku, Susoku, Bezasadu, Adisiddhimam. Touch your folded hands at the crown, throat, and heart. First, Om Nama Tehum, crown, throat, Nama Mehum, Nama Nama Soha, at the heart. So then you make request to the so that the wisdom beings descend. So all the Tathagatas bless me. Great compassionate one, please descend into me, is the text. So the T for me is more important than the wisdom being. The Lama and the chief, the principal deity in the of the mandala, are not different. So from the Hriya at the heart of the Lama, who is not distinct from the central deity, the principal deity emits rays of light, inviting the non-dual primordial awareness of great compassion of one, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas dissolve into the disciples' bodies, recite, and then Om Vajra Bhikshaya A. The Lama places the Vajra on your head. Next. Is asking what kind of colors appear to your eyes when you look up in the space. So imagine covering the eyes with a blindfold and then lifting it up, immediately look up in the sky, in the space. Sometimes it so happens that when some things appeared, when I was once receiving the Vajrapani Mahachakra initiation, at this point I saw some color. So look up in the space, taking off the blindfold, lifting the blindfold and look up in the space. Please repeat this. You are going around the mandala 3 times. And next, the Lama invokes the power, praise to the mandala deities. So please hold your flower in your hands and imagine that you are offering the flowers to the mandala, in the mandala. So with Dham, the flower, garland of flowers blessed. So imagine that you are inside the mandala, in front of the mandala deities. So offer the flower to the mandala deities. So imagine you have offered your flowers to the mandala deities. So the Lord of the lineage here is Amitabha. So the secret name is either Dharma Vajra or Lotus Vajra or Padma Vajra. So here for you, whether you are here personally or or you are taking this and listening to me online, your secret name is Dharma Vajra. So imagine Hum, Ah, and Om at your heart, throat, and crown. Please remove the blindfold. So having removed the blindfold, imagine that you are now able to see Avalokiteshvara, mandala, and the deities very clearly and directly. So the deities are being introduced. So you are able to see all the deities and the mandala. Deities like Avalokiteshvara, the main deity in the front, in the center, Avakshobhya in the east, Ratnasambhava in the south, and Vairocana in the west, and Amoghasiddhi in the north. You can directly see the mandala and the deities, the entire mandala, in other words. Please make an offering of mandala for the initiations. Please repeat these request lines. So the disciples are in the form of Avalokiteshvara with one face and two hands at the eastern door of the mandala. So here there are mainly two initiations, the water initiation and the crown initiation. The first is for Dharmakaya, leaving the imprints or the potential for Dharmakaya, and the second one, the crown initiation, for the potential, leaving the potential in your mind for Rupakaya. So first is water empowerment. So the deity of initiation are invited, and the deities in the mandala who have been meditated upon and accomplished intend to confer the initiations. And then the deities making offerings. Of course, the activity assistant here holds the vase, but you have to imagine innumerable numbers of or countless numbers of deities of initiation. So they pour this water on your crown. Imagine that the deities, initiation deities, are conferring the initiation upon you by pouring this water from the vase on your crown. So the Master is reciting the lines of auspiciousness in relation to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May your mind stream be moistened by the Bodhichitta. So your body is filled with the water, and the overflowing water that has been poured into you, overflowing water fills up on your crown and that transforms into the lot of the lineage, the Tathagatas. So the water empowerment is attained, and states of 5 defilements are purified, and the abodes of the 5 consciousnesses are transformed, and you are empowered with meditate on the yogic path without characteristics, and the potential to actualize the resultant Dharmakaya is specially placed in your continuum. Please make the mandala offering, requesting for the next initiation now. So that was mandala offering. So for attaining the Rupakaya, so with Bodhichitta, what you intend to attain mainly is the Rupakaya, which is meant for serving other sentient beings. And so the Rupakaya actually appears to disciples and thereby serves their needs. So in order to serve others fully, effortlessly, we need to attain both the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, without which you cannot fulfill the needs of others effortlessly. And therefore, in order to serve others, though you should attain Dharmakaya, but you also need the Rupakaya. And again, the initiation beings are invoked. So the Lama is invoking the deities of the initiation. So the mandala deities intend to confer the initiations. So this is the crown ornament of the 5 Tathagata families. It bestows empowerment on you, to the fortunate ones. It brings to completion the qualities of body, speech, and mind. May you quickly attain Buddhahood for the 5 families. So you should think that you now have received this crown initiation. So you made offerings. So this leaves the special imprint or potential for the Rupakaya. Please repeat these mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. This is the mantra transmission. Let us say 21 times Om Mani Padme Hum together. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So imagine from the heart of the Lama, who is not different from the main deity in the mandala, there is at the heart of the Lama, there is imagine a moon disk, and on it a Shri syllable marked with a hum, and around the Shri, imagine the mantra, and the chain of this mantra comes from the heart of the master up his body, out of his mouth, and enters your mouth and gone down your body and is placed at your heart, so that it leaves some potential, beginning with a small and then increasing further and further, so that your compassion increases, and then your experience of bodhicitta, and then going along the path of accumulation onto the path of preparation, and the path of seeing, when you see the emptiness directly, and then the path of meditation, and finally that of Buddhahood. As we explain on the basis of the Heart Sutra mantra, Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhiswaha. So our goal is enlightenment. So by traveling along the path to enlightenment, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, so long may I too remain to dispel the miseries of transmigrators. This is a prayer that I say every day. And so you should have the courage to travel along the path like that, to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. And therefore repeat, recite the mantra. Imagine the mantra's chains coming out of the master, entering your body. And there's a place, that garland of mantra is placed at your heart. Next is the permission initiation. So the Lama actually tells you, the disciples, to imagine this and that, but I actually take tea. In Lhasa, in the past, there was a nomad who had brought a piece of butter, and as he was sitting amongst the audience receiving some initiation from a Lama, and heard the Lama all the time saying, imagine receiving this initiation, that initiation, and so forth. In the end, he took out his butter from his chupa and said, Lama, imagine that I've given this to you, and put it back into his pocket. So what you do after sitting on a throne, Dharma throne, is to turn the wheel of Dharma, to give teachings to others. So you are given the scripture, the conch. So the scripture of the three lineages of the Kriya Tantra. So, to teach others, you are given the authority. So, in accordance with the mental dispositions of disciples, The Buddha has given the teachings comprised in the 100 volumes of our Kanjur, the translated words of the Buddha. And then we also have those of the Tenjur, the translated exegetical treatises. And so you need also to teach according to the mental dispositions of sentient the disciples. So you who rule the kingdom of Dharma, you're given these 7 emblems, royal emblems. Next, we'll do the permission initiation of Simanada Avalokiteshvara. So I've done the preliminary practices to give this permission. So in the front, there is Avalokiteshvara Simhanada. Imagine that streams of nectar flow from Simanada, thereby giving birth to the Vajra disciples. So the true suffering and true origin of suffering, those of the afflictions, mental afflictions and karma, are cleansed through the practice of Bodhichitta and the meditation of view of emptiness, through which the water is blessed, and so this water is sprinkled so that all the negativities and the obscurations of the disciples are cleansed. So all the obscurations and negativities of the disciples are pacified or so all the negativities so all the sicknesses, all harmful spirits and all harms and untimely death and all the kind of grudge and then obscurations and negative spells and unfortunate circumstances and unfortunate bad omens and on bad dreams, inauspicious circumstances, so forth, are all cleansed or pacified, and all the obstructions, obstacles. So imagine that you are given a little water, which you take and keep, hold it in your mouth, and then this ritual again, the same, all sicknesses, diseases, grudges, obscurations, all on bad omens, bad signs, bad dreams, inauspicious circumstances, and nocturnal harms, evil beings, messengers of death, and all obstacles, and perverted beings are pacified. So I've done these self-generation and so forth of the Simanada. So imagine me as Simhanada, and imagine that I have given you great protection. So you are protected from all negativities and obscurations with this mantra, Raksha Raksha mantra. So the diseases are you are protected from diseases, harms, untimely death, grudges, and obscurations, black spells, bad omens, bad signs, bad dreams, inauspiciousness, and nocturnal harms, and the lassos of evil beings, and so forth. So through the blessing of the Simhanada, I have protected these, my disciples, and therefore nobody should harm them. So with this, so there's still the Jenang, the subsequent permission of body, speech, and mind left. So the disciples arise or transform into Simanada. You are in the form of our Simhanada. So from within the Shunyata, having said the Shunyata mantra, you dissolve in emptiness. From the state of emptiness, you arise. You imagine a red lotus arising, upon which is a syllable sing, which transforms into a reclining white line, whose head is turned right, facing upwards, its orange mane flowing downwards. It is draped in jewel pendants. Atop the line, there's a syllable R transforming into a moon disk. On it is a white syllable Shri, which emits rays of light, making offerings to noble beings and purifying the negativities and karmas, obscurations of sentiment, thus leading them to the enlightened state, noble. And then the right lays drawn back into the Resettable, which transforms into yourself as reverent Singhanada, white in color, having one face, two hands, right hand stretched on the right knee, in the gesture of bestowing supreme spiritual feats, and left resting at the back on the cushion. And you have 3 eyes, and your dreadlock is tied upwards in a bun, tied upwards, and you sit with your left leg stretched in the majestic posture of a king, unadorned by adornments. You appear as an ascetic, and you you're wearing a Brahma string, and then you wear a red skirt, and your left chest is covered with the hide of a black deer, and your right is the trishul, trident, and on which is a snake wrapping around with its head upwards, and on the left is Lotus, which is a skull cup filled with various flowers. On the tree of the white lotus, open at the level of your ear, is blazing wisdom sword, and you are adorned with marked with Om Ahum. And then you are given the blessings of body, speech, and mind. So by devoutly imagining the Master as real Samantabhadra Avalokiteshvara himself from your heart, from the heart of the Master, right rays radiate, invoking the front-generated deity, thereby right radiates from his heart, invoking all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, and thus from the heart of the Master, the front-generated deity and the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, 10 directions, from the 10 directions emanates innumerable bodies of the Samantabhadra Avalokiteshvara, and they dissolve, they come down in big and small sizes and dissolve into you, and thereby you receive the body initiation, and then you receive this mantra, this initiation of speech. Repeat this, just Om Maharishi Samantabhadra Humpe, Om Maharishi Samantabhadra Humpe, Om Maharishi Samantabhadra Humpe. So there is a longer mantra, the Dharani of Simanada. So may the disciples receive the body, speech, and mind, Simanada of Samantabhadra Avalokiteshvara. And so you make a fervent prayer, supplication, and then you receive. So you make a request for the blessings of Simanada with this fervent prayer. Deities come forth and they dissolve into you, and thereby you gain the potential for achieving all kinds of qualities of Samantabhadra Avalokiteshvara, especially body, speech, and mind, and whatever qualities, good qualities you have already developed, they increase, and those that you have not yet received, you receive it freshly, and so your mind stream is blessed. So for the mind blessing, you imagine all the symbols of Samantabhadra dissolving into you. And that becomes inseparable from your the syllable at your heart. And so I have given the Avalokiteshvara 1,000-arm, 1,000-eyed Avalokiteshvara initiation, and also the Simhanada Avalokiteshvara blessing. So following the Buddha, having become a monk and becoming learned, and I pay my respect to the Buddha. So likewise, as I pray, not only the human beings, earlier also I have made a special determination. I have actually thought of giving the blessings to everyone on this planet, particularly the human beings as well as non-human beings. So having created this spiritual bond now through this, in order to start the path leading to Buddhahood, as referred by the Gade mantra, you should actually start it in this life so that you progress along the paths and the grounds of bodhisattvas and culminating in Buddhahood. So I will, of course, pray for you, for your success in this venture, and you should also put effort in this. So practically what you should do is to discipline your own mind. Therefore, whatever I have I could remember and reflect, I have shared it with you. And so with regard to the Dharma, it is twofold: the Dharma of transmissions and those of the experiential realization. And it does not help to have offerings displayed and so forth, but what we must do is, as Master Vasubandhu says, to preserve the Dharma, the only ways are through study and practice, and therefore you should study the text, whether there are lengthy ones or short ones, and then reflect on whatever you have studied over and over again, so that you gain some conviction in them. In the beginning, having heard the teaching, you may feel, oh, it's wonderful. But through reflection and constant reflection, you will feel convinced that there's no other way than for me to actually cultivate bodhicitta, to develop bodhicitta within myself. So through reflection, you gain that conviction in the Dharma, and having gained this conviction, trust, and confidence, then you develop the experience within yourself through constant familiarization. Of course, single-pointed meditation, concentration, and so forth would come later, but you should bear in your mind that you should at least be practical about the teaching. So we have created this bond between ourselves as Lama and disciples. So this karmic connection will continue from life after life, for life after life. And therefore, as you practice, you should also, to the best of your ability, share your own thinking, your own thoughts, as if distributing your knowledge, your thoughts to others. So I have done that to you, and you should also do the same with your friends and families as best as you can. You should actually teach others. So from one, you would have 10 people to whom you share, and those 10 would each share to another 10 people each. And in this way, you can increase exponentially from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, and so forth. And so I have been meditating the teaching of the Buddha, and from my own experience, I have shared my experience and knowledge with you, and you should do the same. So this time, our virtuous practice is now coming to completion. We should dedicate all the virtues through these dedication prayers. Like Manjushri and also Samantabhadra and so forth. So while I do the concluding ritual, you may recite Arapatana, the Manjushri mantra. Amarapatana, Manjushri, the deity of wisdom. So I have been doing meditation on Manjushri since my childhood. So I also feel that I do receive the blessings of Manjushri since childhood, and therefore we have already done the recitation of money mantra. Now please repeat Amarapazanadi mantra, Amarapazanadi, Amarapazanadi, Amarapazanadi. The dedication verses that His Holiness recited was just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realized things as they are. Also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deeds.
시루전에 지킨데 남담은 지도 저신 주시 파조 투지 예매쇼 뭐야 시쇼다 그 그러다 먼저 생기지 그래 어 드대한다. 무시디 구단지 열어봤다. 대전에 지셔나. 딘 수는 해주는 전화를 해봐서 수버디 좀 변사했어. 잡아보자 놓고서 그래. 뭐야? 야야, 다잖아. 다 들은 게
So we have completed the Dharma discourse this time. Due to the pandemic, there's restriction on big gatherings of people together. And so this webcast has been quite because of that, we could actually spread this message to a large extent, widely. So because of the pandemic, I got a very good rest. So physically, I got good rest, but my speech, because of the webcast, this teaching has spread widely. Not only human beings, but even the gods, demigods, and so forth may also have benefit. May also benefit from this, as I have already made the intention earlier. And when we do the retreat on long life practice, so Tata Rinpoche used to say that the Lama and the disciples have a great time. And when he actually said this line, which says there is a continuous offering of tea and alcohol, and he would actually look at me smilingly. And so please take care.